So, financing. I'll admit I'm not quite sure where to begin with this. I mean, I understand financing. It comes pretty naturally to me now. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I can explain it from start to finish at a level that everybody's going to understand. Too simple, I come across like a condescending dick. Too complicated, and I'll lose the thread. I guess I have to think of where I was mentally coming into the industry. Okay. So when I started, I understood that financing was essentially paying for a vehicle over a period of time. At the end of the term, your payments added up to the total cost of the vehicle, including interest, taxes, and any negative equity you might have carried over. Negative equity here means when the value of your current vehicle is worth less than what you owe. For instance, if your vehicle is worth $10,000 but you owe $15,000, the remaining $5,000 is carried over into your next vehicle loan. The concept of negative equity can play a big part in your ability to get approved. And you know what? Let's talk about approvals. Your approval from the bank is contingent on one thing: credit. Credit is synonymous with trust in this case. It symbolizes how much money a bank is willing to lend you in the hopes they're going to get paid back. This trust is based entirely on your borrowing history, which can be summed up with a quick credit check. A credit check will enable finance experts to see what outstanding debts you have and how you are at paying your bills. Now, I realize that the concept of a credit check is possibly the most annoying aspect of buying a car. Nobody likes having people scan over their personal finances, especially if their lending history is less than ideal. However, my argument to this is always the same. If you are actually serious about purchasing a vehicle and you have found a sales consultant who you trust, a credit check is an absolute must, plain and simple. I've personally sat with dozens of clients who refuse to do a credit check. Their credit is perfect, so they say. However, when it comes time to seek approval from the bank, they wind up disappointed when they're declined. Your personal pride is simply not worth wasting the time of you or your sales consultants. Alright, so how does approval work? Once your credit check is complete in what is known as pre-approval, the dealership sends your file to multiple banks in an effort to find you the best possible deal to suit your needs. In this case, they're looking for the bank that offers you the most money with the lowest interest rate. The dealership picks the best offer and sets to work building a deal with the specific parameters they've been given. Think of it like a blueprint for your deal. So let's break this down. You've been pre-approved for $35,000 at 5% interest. You have $5,000 negative equity from your last vehicle. Now you have $30,000 to spend. However, you need to consider the interest rate of 5%, meaning that you actually have $28,571 to spend. If you want any accessories or extended warranties, it all gets subtracted from the total amount financed. While this might seem fairly simple, there are certain things that can complicate it. For example, something a dealership has to take into consideration is what is known as book value, the maximum amount a particular make or model can be financed for with the addition of negative equity. The reason for this? Well, banks look at the worst case scenario. If you stop paying your bills and they have to repossess the car, they're going to sell it as an asset. It doesn't make much sense if the car is worth $1,500 but financed for $40,000. That would just be stupid. This book value protects both the bank and the buyer from financing a vehicle well over what it could feasibly be sold for, ensuring that everybody is getting their money's worth. And I suppose that's the point, getting your money's worth. When financing a vehicle, you need to make sure that you're comfortable with what you're spending. A vehicle is usually the second biggest purchase in a person's life, and not one that should be taken lightly. Have a budget, take your time, focus on the total amount financed, and not just your payments. It is your money after all.